It's recording.
So, this is about insulting your own intelligence. It's easier for me to do this, I guess, bringing in like real life experiences, so I can bring in some context to that. But typically, like I said in the last video that we did, I was like, man, like nobody's born a thug, or like nobody's born, violent. People have bodies that are in pain, and then you can have emotional responses. I feel like plenty of babies maybe they would respond in a violent way just because their body's in pain, so they're just responding in that emotion from that emotion because their consciousness isn't really in alignment with the body, so it's kind of just like an animal that's in a rage. So but the nature of like anybody, I feel like at the core of it, of core of being, like especially with a blank slate, is gentle. It's just that if you're in a body that is compromised, it's just harder to be gentle. So I feel like I was always naturally inclined to be gentle and be nice to people and be friendly with people. And a lot of it, to be real, was because I did experience love in a sense, like familial love, like not necessarily from my parents. I'm not saying my parents were just absent with love, but I just feel like I had a family, especially in my youth. I felt like my family wasn't so critical of me. It wasn't so hypercritical. It wasn't so racial at the time. You know what I mean? Because I was raised around dark. Everybody was dark skin or brown skin, at least. So my family was that, and at that time, when you're young, people treat you a little different because you're not in a state like in America. If you're getting older, it's almost like people look at it like, oh, or even as some people look at it as even as babies, they're like, oh, well, if you're a white baby, then you're gonna be my kid's boss one day, or you know what I mean. So it looks like they're looking at it like that in a sense, right? You're gonna be competing for things. You're gonna have benefits that my kid wouldn't. So I can't. I don't really want to be nice to you or friendly with you, and that really wasn't happening in the beginning of my life because I was growing up in a matriarchy in a lot of ways. And my grandma kind of ran everything. It was all centered around her, and while she was alive, um, we had a good relationship. And my mom is her first daughter, and they're kind of like carbon copies of each other. My mom's just light skinned, and I felt like as long while she was alive, everything I was experiencing love, like unconditional love through her and through my cousins and different people. Like I experienced hate and stuff like that, but it took some years to where I really started to see like people treat me different based on my skin and how I appear and things like that. So it was a lot more innocent for me in the early years of my life. I experienced people taking care of me and giving a fuck about my life, my existence. So I felt like I had no reason to be mean, to come off and be evil to people or mean to people. It took some time for me to, I guess, realize like or to see separation or distance between me and other people, me and my family. My grandma dying and stuff like that. I guess years later, to where I started to see like this racial partition that was happening. So I experienced love in a sense to where it kind of made me vulnerable to people because I was in an environment where I was around all brown skinned people and they were treating me well. They were my family, so they didn't feel threatened by me. They knew where I came from, whether they like to admit it or not. So it was like kind of, it wasn't like I had to be worried because of my skin. But as I got away from them and I got to be in other environments with people of the same hue or the same color, they they're looking at me like the enemy, or as a target, somebody that they can abuse or do things to because they feel like they were abused by people that look like me. That was ingrained in them by maybe their parents or people around them. So I feel like I was really kind of blindsided by it in some ways because I always felt like, yo, man, if I'm good to people, like, how could you not be good back? If I'm cool with you, how could you not be cool back? And I felt like people, as the years went and I got away from my family, I experienced people just being mean to me in an unwarranted way. They didn't, I didn't deserve it, honestly, to be real. Like different things would happen to me where I didn't deserve to be treated a certain way. But because of my skin color, I was treated a certain way. So it put me in a place where I felt like I was genuinely nice and friendly. I don't want to say nice. That means stupid. But I was genuinely outgoing and friendly, and I wanted to help people wherever I could, and and engage with people, and things like that. I wasn't a mean person, but it just certain things would happen to where now I know that I'm getting targeted because of my skin. So then it made me be like a sociopath. It made me have to be like ultra sociopathic. I felt like I had to be like, all right, well, you think I'm a chump, I'm gonna play like a chump then, and then just because I'm not gonna let you think that I'm coming off as violent or as a threat to start, so that when I do get my opportunity, I'm just gonna lash out at you, and you're not gonna, you know what I mean? Like the art of war, in a lot of ways. I kind of mastered the art of war early because I kind of had to. It's like, if you, the art of war is basically being everything that the enemy doesn't think you are. If you're far, you want to appear close. If you're close, you want to appear far. So they'd be like, "Oh man, you're a chump," and I'd be like, "Yep, I'm a chump." You know what I mean? Yep, I'll play like that. Just just so that they would never expect the threat, and then when it does come, I'm really a threat. So like, I don't know, it put me in a sociopathic place because I didn't want to be like that. I wanted to be more direct and just be friendly with people, but it felt like for my own safety, I had to do it, and I felt like I was betraying myself, playing dumb, and I felt like that, it would happen, it would play out in my life where I know somebody, they think that I have something, or whatever it is, they think that I'm nice, so they take the kindness for weakness. So then I play along, and I'm just like betraying my own intelligence. Like I'm insulting my own intelligence. And then the more I do that, the more they insult my intelligence. And then the more that happens, the more enraged I get. So then I eventually just lash out, and it just feels like inappropriate. It feels like, man, why would you punch me in my face or whatever it is? You know what I mean? Like, why would you yell at me like this? I thought, you know what I mean? Like, everything, you were accepting this, you were taking this for so long. I was like, yeah, strategically, I'm taking it to where I get my moment to punch you in the face or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't, I don't know, like, I had to play it like that. I felt like I had to play it like that because I was always outnumbered too, on top of it. You know what I mean? So I couldn't just be aggressive, and I developed slower too. Like my body, I was smaller until like out of nowhere, I basically went from like, when I graduated middle school when I was 13, I was 5'5" and a half. And then I went from 5'5" and a half to 5'10", and then from 5'10" to 6'4". You know what I mean? Like, it was like huge jumps over the summers to where, and then people didn't even recognize me, they didn't even know who I was. So then, people couldn't treat me the way they thought I was like a different person almost. So like, it's funny how that all played out. But as a kid, I'm smaller, you know what I mean? And I felt like all of my peers that was dark skinned, they're developing faster. You know what I mean? I'm developing slower. So like, they all developing a lot faster. Like, they was, men before, while I was still a boy in a sense at 13. And it was like kind of, and they never grew anymore. They'd be like 5'8" and never grew anymore. And I'm five, then I had a whole nother foot to grow at that point. And at the time I didn't know. So it's not like I could just come off as aggressive and bully people at the time. You know what I mean? I had to like really pick my battles and be sociopathic about it because for, my own, self-preservation in a sense. So it put me in a place of like not being able to like be as direct as I'd like to be, because I felt like I didn't know, I just didn't want to, I had to pick my battles. I couldn't just be upright off top, just be violent. You know what I mean? I just couldn't do that. I was small, so I played it a different way, and I feel like it bled into that conditioning, like bled into other things in my life where now I'm just neglecting my feelings and insulting my own intelligence and accepting people, they're insulting my intelligence or whatever. And I know that I'm going to boil over, and I'm just kind of waiting for the moment to where it's like, all right, you've crossed the line too far, and now I'm going to boil over and check you. But and as I got older, substance abuse, weed and stuff, whatever, alcohol, whatever it is, in order for me to cloak my emotions and how I was feeling, I had to engage in that. I had to get high or drunk or, be on psychedelics or whatever it had to be a buffer between me and them, because I didn't want them to know what I was feeling, and I didn't want to feel what I was feeling. So, I couldn't be with myself or with my own feelings.
And you didn't want to be honest with them or with yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. I don't know what that was, but yeah. Anyway, so I felt like I had to cloak my own feelings in order to engage with people, and I felt like I just was betraying myself the whole time.
Yeah.
And then, like, the more I would do that, the more I couldn't be myself, and more I would separate myself from myself. And I felt like it would happen with women, where I would go into something, and I would, I wouldn't know, because I was overstimulated, oversexed, and everything too. So it's like I wouldn't know.
And then you were conditioned. You always did it this way. You didn't know any other way.
Yeah. Like, I just wouldn't know how things are gonna play out. So then I would get really close to someone that I probably shouldn't have got that close to, because like I have to get so close to figure it out, instead of, because I'm separated from myself in a sense. So it's like the closer I get to them, the more I kind of have to get some close to myself. It would just happen innately, I guess. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, this is wrong. And now I'm like knee deep into the situation, and I got to get out of it. And then it just seems like, what, inappropriate. Why would you? I thought everything was fine. And like no, I was just cloaking my emotions. And so I didn't feel them. And so you couldn't feel them. So that I could until I could figure things out in a lot of ways. Like, until I could figure out how to get out of it, or whatever it was. Like, because I'll go into some shit with a female, and I'm not abstaining enough. I'm not giving enough time between sex with the last person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, and, even if I did, it's relatively not enough time, really. Even if it is like 6 months or a year.
Yeah, and also when you meet a person, you move too quick. Yeah.
Me personally? Right.
I mean, like, I don't know, like, I have different experiences. I feel like I just adapt to them.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just the lag.
Person, like,
where I feel like I have to move fast because I don't have time.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, so I would
I have to put more Sicilian spirit in it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because like, I eventually hate myself more, because I'd be like, damn, I got into this. I got close to somebody I want to be close to. But I got in the process of getting out of it, I gotta like block my own emotions with weed and alcohol or something, so where they don't really know, and so I don't have to feel this shit, so that I can, basically parlay until I reach that point where I'm like, all right, I'm done. Now it just seems like I'm blowing up on them. And they're like, what's wrong? I thought everything was fine the whole time. And it's it's because I'm being dishonest with myself for such a long period of time that like it's not even.
But at some point, I think they did know.
Yeah.
They knew. Yeah.
I mean, I've been on the other side. The shoe been on the other foot. I've been on the other side, and I've been the other person, to where like they know. You know what I mean? They just ignore the signs, but I can't not communicate it to them just because I know that they know. I gotta still say something to them, like, yo, this is not cool. Yeah. So I feel like I would get involved, and in the beginning I would just be like, it would be honest in the sense where I'm like, I'm figuring it out. I'm like, I attract someone, or my parasite attract them. And then now I'm in this thing where I'm like, is this all right? Is this fine? And then now I just get like super close, you know what I mean? And it creates like an emotional contortion. Like, to where now I can't trust my own emotions. Because like, I feel like my body's so compromised from the drugs or drinking or smoking, to where it's like, I don't know if I really like you. I don't know. And then the cycle just keep repeating and snowballing like that, to where it's the next person and then the next person and the next person. Even if I do space it out 6 months or 10 months or something, because it's not really enough time with myself. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you look at other cultures and people be like, we're not having sex till we married or whatever. I think that might be extreme for some people, but we can meet in the middle on that. You know what I mean? In a sense, they don't have to be waiting until marriage, but I understand why they would wait. If you know yourself enough, it's going to be good sex. I don't have to
You don't have to try. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I don't have to like taste test some shit that I know is gonna be great because I know myself. Like,
Yeah.
if I know myself, then the person is gonna be myself too, in a sense. Like they're the self.
Yeah. I feel like I always had the feeling when something was wrong. I always knew from the first time, from the first second I met the person. I felt like my intuition told me like it was a weird feeling in my body, like this, like I don't know, like scared or like fear, being scared or having like feeling fear or something.
Yeah.
It's weird, but even though I don't know the person, one person can make me feel that way, but another person can make me feel like, okay, I'm good.
You
I
kind of
feel comfortable.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And it's a warm feeling, not a cold feeling. And
where do you feel it in your body?
What?
Where do you feel it in your body?
Everywhere, like
certain places I know like that's fear, that's this, that's that. Like I can really feel it at this point in my life. When I was younger, you just think of butterflies, you think it's butterflies. And now I just know that that's just adrenaline pouring into my system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not some like cool thing, like people would be like, "Oh man, you give me butterflies." I'm like, "Yeah, I can't. I have adrenal.
Yeah.
I have adrenal fatigue. That's what that really is."
I feel like with the right person, you won't feel butterflies.
Yes, because that's a fear response. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you will feel like comfortable and safe, and
it's like surprisingly calm. I feel
Yeah.
like when the person is right, it'd be like, "Why
You
is
can
this so
just relax.
cool?" Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, okay. I'm on holidays now.
Yeah, because you know yourself,
Yeah.
and like you know the signals, and you're like, "Well, I guess I don't have a problem."
Yeah.
And I just like I got into that point where I was like you were saying, like I always wanted to be like, you just don't want to give up that, you don't want to give up that power. So I stay in sociopath mode because I I don't know if they're trying to hurt me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you always want to strike first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, now it's not even like, I guess it is striking first in a sense, but it's more so just like stunning them, like overwhelming them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When it comes to relationships, I mean anything.
With me, it feels like I just don't want to give up my control over anything in life.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at some point in my life, I just stopped and I just made up like my mind. I made up my mind and told myself I'm never gonna give up control over myself, over me.
Yeah.
So I think when the time comes and it tells me or shows me now it's time to just surrender or just submit and just, okay, don't control, to not control, I still want to do it because it's like in my head, like every time, like every day, every second, control.
Yeah. Super conditioned.
Yeah. And I don't know better. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's just...
I'm comfortable in this. Like, I'm comfortable in being in control. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just like people that breathe shallow. They're like kind of comfortable in that. Like they don't have to be deep. They don't have to like really investigate and feel all the feelings in a sense. Like, because they're breathing shallow. You know what I mean? It's like a funny thing. Like it's like a reverse control. In a way, they're like, if I stay stupid, then I have control in a sense because I know the experience. I stay in control of these, but you're not getting new experiences.
Yeah.
Because it's like you never like.
You never leave your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You have to leave your comfort zone to experience something new. You have to do something you never did before to experience something you never experienced before. But everything you never did before is like scary because you're not comfortable with it.
Yeah, just be so much resistance.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, if I'm not in control, I don't want to play this game. In a sense, and that's how I did everything. Like, if we can play basketball, I'm playing point guard. If not, I won't play. You won't see me on the court. If we playing football, I'm playing quarterback. If not, you won't see me on the field. Like, and I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? That's how I've always been. Like, if I'm not controlling it, then why play?
Yeah.
And that's just how I've always been. But I guess teamwork makes the dream work and everything. You got to pass the ball. You know, you gotta pass the ball. You can't take all the shots. And
Yeah.
and I never was that way though. I was always a distributor though. I know it's off the topic, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You know, it was it's a funny thing. I just feel like my body is very intelligent to the point where I'm almost mad at it. You know, it's like I feel like my brain is corrupted. It's not as original. I feel like my body's more original because my mom's more original, and I'm more like her, and then my dad. But my brain is kind of coming is the masculine more so. It's the yang. You know, it's like it's the seed, and
You're a man.
it looks like a sperm. Your central nervous system looks like a sperm. You know what I mean? And so like I feel like the brain with the spine on it, it's the central nervous system. So it looks just like a fucking sperm. You know what I mean? But I feel like my brain is corrupted like that. It's not as original. It's not as encoded as my body. It's almost like somebody that don't got a license driving a Ducati or something, riding a Ducati or something. They just don't know how to ride the vehicle. You know what I mean? Like the light or the yang, it's not enough almost like for my body. It's like my body has more information to give to the nervous system to what would be in control of it. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. I feel like my body's more original, so it's more intelligent than my brain in a lot of ways. Like this shit is corrupt up here. But my heart and my body is like more pure and more original and more encoded with like just innate knowledge that I can't really put into words. It's just it's in codes that like my brain doesn't understand. Like it's like a language that existed before the brain that I have existed. For the seed that I came from is later on than the egg. The egg that I'm coming from is more ancient than the seed. So it's like this seed just like coming. It's almost like a small shoe and a small foot and a big shoe in a sense. And so my shoe got way more space and more things to express to this foot, but it can't. You know what I mean? It's not hugging the foot the way it's supposed to because it's not filling up the space the way it's supposed to. I mean, they don't really match. So like I'm like filling it, and my whole life is filling up that space, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like learning to fill that in and like fill in all the gaps so I can fully inhabit this shoe, this body. And I feel like that's like my problem in a sense, or my challenge is that
yeah. And with me being like a woman, I feel like women have more challenge to open their bodies up for someone.
Yeah.
To let someone in.
Yeah.
But I really did not respect it, so I kind of can't trust myself really anymore.
Yeah.
So I overdid that. I overshared my body.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I hurt myself with that, and maybe you hurt yourself with
like in a reverse
being
way,
emotional with someone.
Like you said, like you let people into your body, and then the man's letting people into his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel like it's like a wild thing. Like I'm coming from a controlled rape, and then prostitution. It's prostitution in a lot of ways. This is what I come from. So like, when I look at it, I'm like, my body's being pimped. You know what I mean? By the masculine, in a sense. And like the masculine side is pimping the feminine side. So my body's kind of like a disgruntled woman. Like where it's just like, it just feels like a prostitute. And then like, cause like I'm like living in the ideal, like of some shit that don't really exist. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways. And that's how I feel. Like I feel like the body had mad abilities and gems and things to offer. And then like the mind or the brain is like on some shit where it's like forcing itself to do things, and like I'm letting my body feel things and and I'm running into my brain and like detaching in a sense. Like my body's getting close to people it shouldn't be close to. I'm having sex with people I shouldn't have sex with. Them getting hyper close to the wrong motherfucker. So then it just makes me get away from myself.
That you open your heart to too many people.
Yeah.
Without really like being picky about it, like being.
Yeah. So it's like my brain's like stabbing my heart.
Yeah, and yeah.
I'm not being selective enough.
Yeah, selective. That's the word I
know. No, you're good. You got like 5 languages in there.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like it's like pimping. Like if you look at my body, almost like a plantation, and like the abilities and everything are coming. Like most of my abilities coming from the female side, from this more original part of me, and then the fucking slave master is really like, you know what I mean, the brain in a lot of ways, and it's like a miniature version, like a microcosm of America in a sense, or of a plantation in America in a sense.
Yeah.
To where it's like
your mind is a slave owner and your body is a
slave. Yeah, you know what I mean. And yeah, and my mind is just a slave to something else, or my brain is something. It's just, you know, it's not even a high level slave owner. So I mean, you know what I mean. And you know, so yeah, I just feel like it created.
But I feel like you're really intelligent, like
to see it and accept it.
I mean, yeah, but
that's what's going
no,
on.
I still mean like your brain is really like, well, it works well. Like I mean, you're a genius. Yeah. But I feel like sometimes
it's got a lot to work with.
You're so intelligent or so smart that you trick yourself.
Yeah.
You're like your brain.
I guess, you know, I feel like it has a lot of information to work with coming from my body. My body's picking up mad information.
They say like genius and insanity are good together. It's like a Hufeisenprinzip.
Fine line.
I mean the things that the horses have on their feet. The thing, the iron thing.
The horseshoe. They call it a shoe.
Okay, but you can see like it's that shape, and genius and insanity is like this is not far away from it. Like it's the end of this and this side. So
like love and hate.
It's gonna it's gonna meet again. It meets.
Yeah, I mean
that's how I feel about it. It's so intelligent that it's insane.
Yeah, I feel like my body it has so much. It's picking up so much. It's an antenna. It's picking up more information than I can almost get, that I even kind of want, in a sense. Where it's saving me in a lot of ways though, because it's not letting me do things. I remember when I was like 17 and I first had to start drinking to fuck. My body was so smart. It'd be like, no, not her. No, not her. No, not her. And I'm like, no, look, my eyes are saying, yes, her. Yes, fuck her, you know? And like, and so it would be like a disconnect, you know? And so, I don't know, my body...
and then you tell yourself, oh yeah, I'm just too shy, so I have to drink to make me more comfortable.
Yeah.
But it's not that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just intelligence. It's just a greater intelligence than can even really be communicated in a lot of ways. Like, because it's like speaking different languages. They're not like, my brain's like in another fucking world. You know what I mean? And my body's like, you know, it's not that. You know, it's speaking in a whole other way. It's already aware. It's way more aware in a sense. I'd be feeling like, whereas maybe it should be the other way around. You know, the body shouldn't be. You know, the intelligence should be more so upstairs. You know, consciously, like, you know, in the front of the brain, than more so in the body. But maybe that's just my opinion. Maybe it's because my brain's corrupt that I feel that way. But
this paradox.
Yeah, right. But yeah, that's kind of it. I guess I just wanted to say that though, like just the insulting my own intelligence thing. You know, my body really is like a failsafe. It's got so many failsafes where it's like, if you keep going in this direction, I'm gonna cut off this ability because you're not supposed to be using this potential this way. You know, like even with my knees and losing my ability to walk at one point, it was like, I was like, I want to play football up here. I'm like, I can do this, you know? And my body's like, you've already done that. My body's like more in tune with the universal process to where it's like, no, you need new experiences. You can't do that no more. We're going to use our potential for something else. And then like my slave master mind is like, no, we're going to mine this fucking potential out of my body and use it the way I want to use it, you know? And it's crazy how my body, it pretty much is like, I feel like it's a failsafe. I think about Lyme's all the time, the Lyme's disease, and I'm just like, hey, it protected me in some ways. As much as it sucks, it didn't let me do things that I would have probably got more hurt.
It's kind of a symbiosis though, even though it's like, it tries to destroy you, but
Yeah.
it's symbiosis at the same time. Like,
yeah, like, and that's why my dreams are so cryptic, though. I feel like, because it's like my body, the intelligence, like there's something in the communication with the body and the brain there, where like I have to hide the messages to myself because
yeah,
there's this insidious part of me that's like, as soon as I get some of these gems, it's like it gets satisfied quick. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the body's like, yo, we could have eternity. We could have eternity. You know what I mean? And the brain's like, let me just get some of that potency so I can abuse it and use it in the material world. You know what I mean?
it's like my mom is like so into ghost stuff. She believes in ghosts and stuff. You know, like that you can see them, like dead people and stuff.
Yeah.
She's like, she wants to see a ghost sometime. And then my grandma saw a ghost and she's like so not into it. She's like she's so indifferent about it. She's like, oh, I don't give a shit. Like, and then she sees a ghost and my mom is like, I want that experience, but she won't get it.
Like, once it creeps into the conscious mind, it like blocks it. It repels everything almost.
Yeah.
You know? And that's how I feel like, I was trying to like force my body to do things that I know it could do. So it's like kind of like, all right, move on. You know it can do this. Stop doing this. Like, that's kind of why I didn't want to play football no more. I was like, this is not really challenging my whole everything. You know, like there was intelligence in me that was like, this is not, I can't give a fuck about this. Not naturally. I'm going to have to like drink coffee or something to give a fuck, to be present here. And it's just like, I got to break my body with the coffee and take tomorrow's energy and use it today. And just keep doing that and getting in debt to myself. And
then Hua Ching says too, like, you can commit to one thing. You have to like commit to all of the life.
Yeah.
And move forward in everything in life, not just evolving your body or just train your body. You have to train everything, your mind.
Yeah. You can only be like a football player for this amount of time in your life. Like, you get this whole life, and then you're like this. This can't be my identity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it can't be. Like, you're gonna.